Friends, a very good morning to all the participants and especially Hemant Bhai. It is good to interact again over a platform where Hemant Bhai is also sharing such a great orator and great presenter of the handcrafted jewelry items. And I would rather like to, because lots of issues of our sector are very hot, and especially with the government policies. And since our sector is a big job provider, at least as per the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, 5.5 million, that means 55 lakh direct jobs are being created by this sector alone, apart from indirect jobs. So naturally, we can safely say that at least 1 crore families are dependent upon this sector. And importance can be understood by the volume of this sector. The exports constitute about, it is the second highest export commodity in India, around 14% of the export basket from India, and 7% is the contribution to our GDP. So it's a very good move by GEM, by Jeweler. This is a first of kind exercise that they are doing with high technology and connecting the entire India to interact, and I believe that by this interaction I will be enriched even more and I will learn more. Thank you. The participants can start typing questions. As far as my knowledge goes, I will try to answer in the best possible way, and if I do not know the answer, I will also regret that really I don't know. There is a question from Rasna: does India have an opportunity to become world's largest outsourcing hub? And is there subsidy offered for SME sector by government to source international clients and set up manufacturing units in India? Yeah, it's a very good question. Definitely, India has got the potential to become a world leader in becoming the sourcing hub for jewelry for the entire world, provided we work in the right direction, patiently and persistently to capture the market that we deserve really to capture. Most important thing is that we are having the largest workforce of skilled workers, skilled artisans in India. I do not think that in any other part or any other country there are so many people working in jewelry sector who know the skills having been inherited from their families. And you see that India is a diverse country, and the diversity is reflected into our jewelry making designs and processes and everything throughout India. In all the states, there are different types of jewelry that we people are making. And now one more thing that is that we are not only making the modern mass-produced machine-made jewelries that we have lately adopted, but our forte is in fact actually in handcrafting. And as Hemant Bhai is here, who is participating, as his tagline is, heritage is the future of industry. So I fully agree with him, and our heritage is very, very rich heritage, and we have always been in handcrafting industry, and I think that it should be recognized as a very potential source of generating jobs, generating income, generating exports. Now the thing is that subsidy, whether it is offered to SME sector, yeah, definitely subsidies, whatever subsidies are offered to the SME sector in general are also available to this sector by government to source international clients and set up manufacturing units in India. Yeah, international clients you can source because there are some MEIS schemes. So under those schemes, you can participate in the overseas show. Some discount is offered by the government, and you can also make overseas visits to market your products. And the government schemes are there where a sort of financial assistance is given to the export. Where do you see the sector going in the next 5 years? It is Surya Ramesh. It is a good question. Where do we see this sector going in next 5 years? As far as domestic market is concerned, I'm sure that it is going to grow with the growth of population, and it is going to grow with the growth of income of the population, and in the same ratio in which our GDP is growing or will be growing and our population will be growing, definitely there will be growth. And in my view, there is a huge potential of domestic growth in this industry, because on an average, World Gold Council had a few days back, I had read somewhere that India's per capita consumption of gold per annum is just 500 milligram. And it is lower than the European per capita consumption. So we think that European guys do not wear gold. Only Indian people love gold. But the thing appears to be in a different perspective when you compare these things. So the only thing is that we have used population, we have used heritage, and we have used love for gold. So domestic jewelry is really bright, industry is really bright. And as far as export is concerned, we are lacking in marketing our products. We have everything. We know how to produce. We know how to make things which others cannot make, but we do not market our products as such. So the only thing is to give trust in market, trust to market our things in the overseas market, and that should be targeted to attract the consumer's mind and create into his mind the thinking of buying or owning some handcrafted jewelry. And that should be the motto of our country, to market the products as such. Because the general inhibition is that the Europeans and Americans, those who are having good purchasing power, they don't wear Indian handmade jewelry because it is yellow, because it is 22 karat, because it is heavy. I think that until we market our products, whatever statements we are making, these are just only surmises and conjectures. It is not true. If the Europeans can market in India diamonds, and every girl now wants to buy diamond ring or whatever budget she has, but I think every girl is buying now diamond. 20 years ago, it was not like that. It was very intense marketing by the DBS group, that in India, general public has started buying diamonds. Otherwise, diamond buying and using was limited to a very few class of people, but now it is common. So if they can do, we can also do. Yeah, Mr. Akash M, his question is, what type of benefits are provided to small-scale manufacturing units for jewelry and diamonds? Do they get loans at lower interest rates? You would like to answer this question live? Yeah. I'm answering this question live. Akash, actually, there is no special scheme for gem and jewelry small-scale units. These are treated in the same way as the other industry is treated. And if someone wants to put a unit for manufacturing of jewelry and diamonds, they get loans and at the same rates that the other industries are getting. Next question is from Mr. Prithvi Maninal. What new tax regimes do you see in the future that might be able to help our industry? Yeah, now you see that this tax regime, I think that this is, if we speak of personal income tax or corporate tax, that is common to everybody. The only concern that is with industry is either domestic tax rates, that is GST, that is at 3%. It is a very mild rate, and I believe world's lowest. And as far as import duty is concerned, definitely that is a matter of concern. And so many things can be said about that. Every part of the country is representing to the government to rationalize this duty. But we are to wait until the government so decides, and there is a just semblance between the cost of gold that is entering surreptitiously into India, so that can be checked. Yeah, how are the exports of loose diamonds in the East? Are they higher or at par with the West? This is again Mr. Prakash M. No, East doesn't process diamonds. We don't have factories to cut and polish the diamonds as it is located in Surat and Bombay, Gujarat, everywhere in that part of. And I believe that only these two pockets are specializing in this field, and they are exporters. From East, the main port is Calcutta, and we do not export loose diamonds from here. Yeah, Mr. Ajay Marfatia, he has asked, what are your thoughts on the taxation policy of gemstones that has been implemented in this budget? I'm not aware, in fact, what type of new taxation policy has been implemented in this budget, because as far as my knowledge goes, there is no change in the taxation policy. Asking Rachna Pandey, the government is opening a private refining sector in India for gold. What are the challenges and opportunities? Yes, the basic challenge is the identification of the source, and opportunities are used. There is not to say anything because we are second biggest consumers after China, and our 100% gold is sourced from overseas through overseas imports. But the big challenge is to regulate the import and ensure that we get from legitimate channels. And another one is within India, that the gold that the refineries are refining is of standard, and the buyer who buys it is very much satisfied that he is buying the right thing. That needs to be checked. Mr. Ajay Marpatia is asking, the gem and jewelry sector has been looking for a break from the government to be able to revive this industry. The government, in my opinion, seems to be completely ignoring this industry. What are your thoughts on this? Yeah, I cannot contradict your thoughts on this line, Ajay, because you see, we also need to introspect. A few black sheeps in our industry have damaged our reputation like anything. Because we now need to come forward with a self-regulation mechanism in each of the town, or maybe each district or each state, so that we can bring some clarity and integrity in this business, and we can also prove that yes, we are law-abiding citizens, and the people who are operating within us as black sheep are discarded. What is the process of finance to be given by NBFCs from outside India against diamonds as a collateral? Does the RBI allow such methods of finance? This is from Akash M. And Akash, I do not have much knowledge on this field. And I'm sorry that I cannot give you a legitimate and good answer on this. Mr. Bakul Kumar is there. I have heard that China owes Indian diamond exporters over $1 billion. Is this true? If it is, or the number is close, how do you see the money crunch being a big problem in the near future? Yeah, India is exporting a lot to China, and there is likely to be dues because people export on credit, no doubt. Now the thing is that whether it is 1 billion or less, that I'm not aware of. And I do not think that the money crunch, this is a temporary phenomenon, that this coronavirus issue, and the industry has requested the government to extend the realization period from 180 days to 360 days, in view of this crisis over there. But I believe that this crisis will be over, and there should not be any money crunch as far as this, once this crisis is over. Mr. Suresh Patel is asking, how has GJEPC been seeing the slowdown in the industry affect business? I'm curious on what can be done to improve business. Yes, Suresh, the thing is that GJEPC is more concerned with the falling exports rather than domestic. So I do not know whether your question is aimed at, targeted at export market or domestic market, but I stick to the export when you have invoked GJEPC in the picture. And as I told you, that yes, it is a struggle for GJEPC now to at least retain the previous year's figures, so that we can at least match those figures and we do not go below those. But as I told you, that the potential is there, and somewhere we are missing how to milk those potentials, and that is the key in my mind. the key to the unlocking of those potentials is marketing your products. And what we are doing is we are marketing it, but in B2B sector. And you see in B2B sector, when you go for organizing shows, exhibitions, only businessmen come and businessmen are displaying. So what happens that the cake size does not increase. The size is shared differently between different exhibitors. Suppose from India, IJRF we are doing, and we are going outside so many exhibitions. We are holding maybe more than 40 or 50 exhibitions every year. But the cake size remains the same, only the share rattles down. So in my view, the main aim should be promoting jewelry outside India in the B2C category, B2C target. Mr. Bala Subramaniam Shiv Kumar is asking, even though the consumption is high in South India, the manufacturing is given less importance in all aspects. Need your opinion regarding. You see, if you are asking that manufacturing is given less importance, maybe that I feel that you are asking regarding the government tendency to look at this. Yes, governments are usually recognizing those industries which have big units and how they differentiate between an organized unit and unorganized unit. That is a very grey wording. We people also use, and even the government sectors also use organized industry and unorganized industry. So, of course, gem and jewelry industry is regarded as one of the industry where so much of hazy, cloudy things are there. So, it is incumbent upon us to give direction to our industry in such a way so that we emerge as a law-abiding and clean industry. In every industry, there are black sheep, and so are in our industry, but we are very easy target from very beginning, since the days of Gold Control Act. Whatever one person does, entire India is put to shame by the government agencies, and that is really pathetic. Mr. Suresh Patel asks, coronavirus has majorly impacted this sector. Will India benefit from this or suffer due to lack of supply? I think we are not going to benefit by this, because definitely we are going to suffer, and it should be, in my view, a very temporary phase. It is already more than 1 month, but it should end up very soon, because every government and especially China are trying to tackle it. And I don't think that it will go long, but yes, definitely it will hamper our exports. Mr. Akasham is asking, what will happen if payments are held for longer periods by China or Hong Kong with coronavirus issue to the Indian exporters who have lines of credit? Will banks give option for late payments? And will they be lenient even though the sector is not positively seen by banking sectors? Yes, that's a very good question. And I think either to you or someone else, I had mentioned that the council has requested the finance ministry to extend this period of realization of payment from 180 to 360 days for the exporters of China in view of the coronavirus. And I believe that government will be definitely thinking it in a right way, and an extension should be provided. So there should not be any problem as far as the legal problems are concerned into our system. But yes, business loss is there, and that is used. Yeah, it is Kolash K. And his question is, how much foreign investment is allowed in order to open a jewelry store in a duty-free area? Kolash, I cannot say it with authority because I don't know really regarding this thing. But as a gut, I believe that there should not be any limit if the jewelry store is opened in a duty-free area, but it needs to be checked. Akash M. The question is, currently local jewelry sales are down. How do you feel this can increase apart from marketing? Do you feel there needs to be some sort of external push? If so, what type of push? Akash, I have a little different idea about this. Because in India, jewelry sales have never been down. even in very in periods where the economic crisis was there in 1980s and 90s, the sales were never down because jewelry sales here are not, this mass sale of jewelry is not because of people going to buy and treating it as a luxury item, but it is a social compulsion that prompts the general masses to purchase jewelry for so many social obligations, maybe marriage, maybe birthday, maybe this, that. Because in our culture, from birth to death, everywhere gold is having a role to play. So sales are not going to be down, but definitely you will agree that players have increased a lot. So as I said, earlier said in another context, that cake size remains the same, but the shares have been rattled. So jewelry sales are not down, but you will be astonished to know that more than 25% sale is now being conducted by corporate sector. Corporate, that means maybe some 5 or 6 names which prompt up immediately into our mind. And they have captured 25% or more, and I believe that within 2-3 years, they will stake their claim on the 40% sales. So definitely, the small jeweler is losing to the corporates, and that is why we are feeling that the sale is down. But overall sale is not down. As gold price is rising drastically, shouldn't tax on gold be, import duty be reduced? Look, this is from Sri Kothari. Rising prices do not justify the tax policy to change. What justifies to change the import duty is the fact that if the import duty is prohibitively high, then the smugglers get a chance to enter. And as we have seen in the past also, from 64 onwards up to 91, when the gold control was promulgated, was in force, and import of gold was not restricted but prohibited. But gold was pouring into India like anything. So these are economic pushes that prompt the unscrupulous elements to enter into the market and destroy the economy. But if we desire that government understands this and they rationalize this duty part, at least to that much of extent, so that the smuggler is not incentivized to bring gold into India. Mr. Bakul Kumar is asking, how was the response from IIJ's signature this year? I think it is an average response, not very good, but not bad either. That I have learned from so many participants. Mr. Shrenik Mehta is asking, what is the situation right now with imports from China? Are they kept in quarantine? We are, Shrenik, we are reading in newspapers, and I also have that much of idea, and I do not have any official official stand on this by the government of India. But papers are telling that exports from China are hampered, countries are not importing, blah, blah, blah. So I'm really very sorry to not be able to give a correct answer to this. Palash K, he's asking, do CVD have the same tax as natural? No, Palash. Import duty on CVD is 10%, whereas import duty on CPD is natural diamonds is 7.5%. However, GST on CVD, rough colored, cut and polished diamonds is 0.25%, whereas cut and polished synthetic stones is 3%. This is Ajay Marfatia again. What is your opinion on the union budget this year? It is a very tricky question, Ajay, and you can give as many answers as you want. So every government prepares the budget in its best way, and I believe that one thing that I have noticed is that this budget has not been prepared for gaining the appreciations from the press and from the big corporate houses, because the schemes are very down to the earth. But as far as giving an opinion, there are so many lines that you can take, and I think it is not better. to form one opinion, because you can have many thoughts on this. Sri Kothari again is there. Indian government to rethink on import duties and taxes to give support in way of finance to the industries to support the curtail in import from China and help locals to develop, make in India concept a success. Yes, that the government is doing. Already corporate tax has been slashed to 15% for the new enterprises that are coming and setting industry over here. And the government is also seriously thinking of this. Mr. Shrinik Mehta is asking, how can I connect with international buyers through GJEPC? I want to expand my business abroad. Yes, that's a very good question, Shrinik, and you must do it. And as far as you are asking for the GJEPC, yes, GJEPC plays a pivotal role, intending exporters to connect with the intending buyers. And the best platform is IIJS in India that they provide. And GJEPC organizes so many shows outside also, outside of India. So you can think of participating in the targeted market, because until you go out, display your products and people see it, it is very difficult to capture get connected with the intending buyers. So you will have to take this venture and try to do it. Hats off to you thinking in this line. Do it, sir. Suken Shah, do you feel the MSME sector of manufacturing will benefit with coronavirus issue, as the large-scale manufacturing cannot keep up with the manufacturing of the temporary increase of? I don't think that in our industry it is going to give any effect, neither good or bad. Shrenik Mehta, sir, thank you for answering my all questions. I truly appreciate it. I'm a small jewelry manufacturer from Surat, and I'm glad to have this opportunity to connect with you on this platform. Thank you. Shrenik, it's good that you are at least thinking of exporting, and it is not a matter of being small or big. It is just a matter of being creative. And if you are creative enough, you will definitely get business. Suken Shah, do you feel the MSME sector of manufacturing will benefit with the same question has been repeated over here, and I think I have answered this. Next is Sri Bakul Kumar. Can you tell us about the interest equalization scheme for exporters and elaborate on it? Yes. Now you see that the general lending rate has been connected with this repo rate, RLLR, repo linked lending rates. And as far as latest information that I'm having is banks are lending to the sectors, MSME sectors at 10.8% per annum. And if you are sourcing this money for exports, then you are getting a 5% discount on that. So it comes to, even that will be even lesser, because 10.7% or 10.8% is for the domestic purpose. And repo rate plus a spread of 0.75 paisa only. That means repo right now the repo is going 8.05%, and a spread of 0.75 paisa, that means 8.80% is the rate, and 5% is discount for the exporters. So the effective rate is 3.80%. And I would like to add one more thing, that once you source this loan at 3.80% and purchase dollars, say for importing gold or diamonds, and by the time you manufacture it, it takes 1 month or 45 days, you can sell your dollars forward, and the forward premium that you are getting in the market is roughly around the same 3.80%, and your cost of interest is 0. Can India become the price setter of gold? It's a very good question. We legitimately being biggest importer of gold, we are not the biggest consumer now. After China, we are second biggest consumer, but we are the biggest importer, because China has got its own production and they import a part of their consumption. But we import each and every gram. But alas, we are not in a position to be in a commanding position to set the prices, because gold prices are not determined only by the forces of buying and selling, but there are many factors that play, and very, very big and strong players in New York and London are in the play to manipulate the prices also and set the prices also. So I do not see in near future that India is going to get their place. Shukesh Shah. Is there any benefit the government can give to online jewelry websites for helping in promoting the industry global? It is a very good question, and GJEPC is working upon this since the last 1 year. And it is a very promising field, Mr. Suken. And we are trying to find out way because government wants us to give suggestions how to do it. And it is very difficult also for the GJEPC also to formulate the policy, a draft policy for the purpose of government to consider, but we will do it definitely. And it has got a very, very big scope. The government is opening up private refining sector in India for gold. What are the challenges and opportunities? I think Rasna, this is from Rasna Pandey, and I think I have answered this question. But here again, once the private refining sector is here and you are asking for challenges and opportunities, that means I believe that you mean that whether we can also export gold bars. Definitely we can export, but I think we will have to travel a long way because we are not even ready within India to control and regulate the quality of gold that the private refineries are making. What is pre-shipment finance and post-shipment finance? How can we benefit from this? Yes, Mr. Bakul, pre-shipment finance is that once you get an order from your importer, then you can approach the bank that, look, I have this order, I am to process, I am to buy these raw materials for manufacturing, and I need money, and I need loan. So that is a finance that bank is giving to you, that is before the shipment. So it is called pre-shipment. Once your shipment is ready, now what you do? You export it. You raise an invoice. You export it. Once you export it, you can, without waiting for the payment to come from your buyer, you can discount your invoice with your bank. Then what happens? That bank will discount your invoice, pay you money of that invoice. Bank will realize that money from your buyer, and this money, by this money, you will liquidate your pre-shipment loan. So now the loan that's standing with you is post-shipment. That means after you have shipped. So this is post-shipment. Shri Kothari, funding is the major issue, not just the gem and jewelry industry, but all others. Also, if the government doesn't act fast, India will lose out on developing itself as a major manufacturer due to China's catastrophe, which is a major human crisis and should not make people who hold inventory will capitalize for personal gain. We must see that the Made in India vision fructify of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, especially with US President visiting India. Shri, if you are talking this thing in context of the visit of Trump, I think that it is not going to impact anything on this thing, that the funding, that is what you are asking about gem and jewelry industry. But as far as I understand, it is a serious issue that industry should think, because we are going and always asking the government to make policy for funding banks, easy funding and cheap funding. But what we people are doing, we are buying cash because you import gold, you are to pay cash. If you import diamond rough, maybe there are credit lines, maybe there are cash. Colorstone roughs, cash, and you sell at credit. And where do you bring this money? You want the government to finance this credit. Why we people are doing like this? If we are to buy a commodity whose raw material is cash, it is legitimate that we should sell cash. So I think that if the funding is scarce, slowly industry will fall in line. Either the industry players will increase their profit margins, which is so much needed in our country, that we people are right now cutting the throats of each other in competition because of the easy availability of funds. And when the funds are scarce, you try to maximize your profits. So I think it is a debatable issue. It is my view, but I may not be correct because there are other views also. But this is how I am thinking. Suken Shah, is the GJEPC interested in connecting to NBFC financiers outside the country to help increase funding for the industry? If so, how can they connect with you? As far as my knowledge goes, GJEPC doesn't have any agenda like this at present. But maybe that in future, if the members so desire, it can be taken. Sujit Mehta. Mr. Mehta is asking, the government has made it mandatory for jewelers to sell hallmark gold. How will this affect business? This is great for buyers for transparency, but I feel like business will get affected. Sujit, it is the call of the hour that transparency must come into our business, and we people are being blamed for this non-transparent sort of business that had been going on since many decades. But now this is an opportunity that when law is being made and compulsory hallmarking is going to be promulgated from January 2021, everybody should welcome it. But the challenge is how the government will increase. The biggest challenge is the interference of the government into business, which was absent post the abrogation of Gold Control Act. So I am also really afraid and very skeptic of the enormous powers given to these BIS officers, and that should be looked upon and debated. I feel, Mr. Sujit Mehta is again asking, I feel like the banking sector has lost confidence in the gem and jewelry sector. How can this confidence be restored? What can we do to bring this industry back in the limelight? It is a very burning issue, and whatever you are feeling is not incorrect. It is very right. Banks are really very scary to lend to our sector because this sector can be utilized as a vehicle to siphon bank money that so many people have done in the past. And of course, there is another side of that coin, that banks, when they finance those guys, the bank officers were, the culpability of bank officers can also not be denied. But overall, not only banking sector, but even the government has also lost the confidence into our industry. And it is the challenge thrown upon us to regain the confidence again. Shweta Nagaogar. Is there duties levied on refined gold that will be exported from India? Shweta, I am not sure, but on export, none of the items, excepting a very few, attract export duty. So there should not be export duty on them. Even gold jewelry and studded jewelry are being exported. There is no duty for export. Is there duties levied on refined gold that will be? My answer is no. Can India become price setter for gold? Shweta, I have addressed this question if you have heard, but no, India is not in a position to play that role because of so many factors. Definitely we are big consumers, but gold prices are not determined by selling and buying forces alone. This is Martha Rodriguez. This time the GJEPC had a special section for new jewelry startups at IIJS signature. Do you feel the same will be there in IIJS Premier? And also would there be a section for online G&J sector platforms to market themselves, as that has never been there, and there are so many Indian online platforms opening? How can GJEPC help them in the IIJS, since it is the most important and awaited show by the council? Yes, Martha, GJEPC is committed to bring the new jewelry startups into the export business, and definitely I believe that in Premier also, I'm not very sure whether it has been decided by this time or not. because I am not in the exhibition committee as a. There are so many committees functioning and they are taking the decisions in GJEPC, but I am not a part of the exhibition committee over there. But definitely, if it has been done in IIJS, it is you can take it for sure that it is going to come in Premier also. And as far as this platform for online marketing, GJEPC is in a process of formulating a draft suggestion paper to the government that how it should be done and how it should be regulated, and not only especially in domestic market, but with an eye on the international market, so that even online sales can be promoted from India to the overseas buyers. How do you see import duty of gold being 12.5% affecting the B2B sales of jewelry? Do you see the import duty coming down soon? Yeah, this is Mr. Prithvi. Prithvi, you see that once these taxations start generating revenue for the government, then the temptation of the government to lose that revenue becomes a very, very big factor. And that is the only thing that government wants not to reduce this duty from 12.5% to the lower one. It is a very good question if we see it in a context from 1964 onwards till date. We have the experience from 64 to 91 when gold was a prohibited commodity. From 91 to say this period when the duty started getting revised during Mr. Chidambaram's finance ministers. He assumed the finance ministry office, maybe I think 13-14. So by that time it was 1%, and now we are having it was 2%, 4%, 6%. Lately, now lastly it is 12.5%. So we have the experience of all these things. One thing is that even if the government wants to curtail the import of gold by imposing higher duties, gold import is not going to be curtailed. That is our experience, our national experience. Because gold is a commodity which is not regarded by the general masses as a commodity of luxury, but it is because of the social compulsions that the masses are buying gold. So consumption of gold can never be curtailed. Maybe that if the duties are higher, people are finding ways to find some gold which has entered into India without paying the duty. So if it is B2B sales you are telling it, I think that B2B sales, when it is going, every businessman is a registered dealer. And he should not indulge and tempted to buy that gold which is not official gold. That is my line. Mr. Suresh Patel's question is, this time in the IIJS, there was a great initiative I noticed to promote startups. How can we get more people from the next generation to be a part of this industry? Yeah, Suresh, next generation guys are coming into this industry. I have seen in Surat that qualified engineers have opened high-tech factories for manufacturing diamond jewelry. Surat was not a place for manufacturing of diamond jewelry, but today I can say that they are making the best of diamond jewelry over there. And these young boys of 25 and 30 and 35 are doing it a great job. And many of them are engineers. Surya Ramesh, what are the opportunities available for small jewelry manufacturers? Yes, opportunity is always there if we try to excel, if we try to create. So the opportunity lies with creativity. Opportunity lies with the spirit of excelling. Should there be tax on resale of scrap or used jewelry since it is already taxed? This is from Mr. Anand. You see, it is a question already taxed, that is very correct. But once you read this taxation policy as enunciated in GST, every supply is taxable. So once it is a supply, it has to be taxed, whether it is a resale or whether it is not. Because even wholesaler is buying it from manufacturer, and then he is reselling it to the retailers. It is going to be taxed. How is the government helping in skilling the young generation? Sukesh Shah, in a big way, Sukesh. This Gem and Jewelry Skill Council of India, GJSCI, they are doing fantastic jobs under the leadership of Mr. Sanjay Kothari, who is now chairman of this council, and he is doing a lot of things. I will request you to kindly be in touch with the GJSCI, and you will be knowing so many things. Recently, last month, he just held in Bombay 2 days conference. That was just the same conference that was Santa Fe, that is in America, it is done. And at a very low cost, just 20,000 rupees for participation fees and 2 days long session. That was such an educative session. And they are also preparing artisans by skilling up their skills. So there are artisans, there are people who are not artisans, but the artisans, they are skilling the skilled ones. So upgrading the skills, this work they are also doing. Yeah, here the name of the questioner is not there, Nokia 6 only. Should GJEPC more actively heritage jewelry abroad? Oh yeah. Of course, this is the USP that India possesses. Because whatever we are producing through the machines, it is a mass-made jewelry. So we don't have anything to say that, oh yeah, this is my USP. Because everybody is doing and we are just copying. But when you are going for heritage jewelry, then you are manufacturing it by hands. And your personal skills are there of your artisans. And these skills only Indian artisans possess, nowhere else. Please allow me to thank New Jeweler and Mr. Anand and Rachna for giving me this opportunity to be connected with the business fraternity spread across India.